Okay, so I want you to imagine a ladder.
Just a standard ladder.
A really tall, sturdy ladder. And you spend years climbing it. You're sweating, your muscles are burning, you are pulling yourself up rung by rung.
So it's exhausting.
It's completely exhausting. But finally, you reach the roof, that high point of perspective you've been chasing for, I don't know, maybe a decade.
Right.
You pull yourself onto the ledge, you stand up, and look out at the view. Now, be honest. What is your very first instinct regarding that ladder?
If you're like most people, you want to kick it away.
Right. It's almost visceral. It's like, I'm here now. I've arrived. I don't need that clunky thing anymore.
It is the classic metaphor for transcendence, especially in self-development.
Yeah.
We have this really deep-seated belief that the method is just a vehicle. It's a booster rocket.
Just meant to get you to orbit.
Exactly. You use the discipline to get to the state of flow or success, and once you hit orbit, you jettison the heavy stuff because it just feels like drag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here is where this deep dive gets really interesting and honestly a little counterintuitive. We are looking at a massive transition point in our source material today. Specifically, the shift from the embodied experience of parts 1 and 2 into the mathematical formalization of part 3.
The big leap.
The big leap. And the core argument here right off the bat is do not kick the ladder away.
Right, because in this specific context, the ladder isn't just a tool to get you there. It isn't a vehicle you park.
What is it then?
It is the structural integrity of there.
Yeah.
If you kick away the scaffolding, the roof doesn't just stay floating in midair.
It collapses.
It completely collapses.
That is a huge concept to start with. So today we are standing at a very specific threshold. We're looking at the reflect and interface interludes of the text.
Yeah, these are pivotal sections.
It's that moment where the protagonist, the traveler, has mastered the body, they've mastered the force, they're living in the state of flow.
But then they hit a wall.
Or actually, I think the text describes it more like a window.
A window is the perfect way to put it, because they can see something new, something on the other side, but they need a completely new syntax to describe it.
Right.
We were essentially moving from the messy, beautiful jazz of lived experience into the precise math of design.
I love that distinction, living the architecture versus designing the architecture.
Exactly.
So our mission for this deep dive is to decode that shift. We need to unpack what the scaffolding actually is, why the traveler feels stuck despite being successful, and finally, look at this new source code for consciousness that gets introduced.
And I promise you, even though we're talking about math later on, it's not the kind that gave you nightmares in high school.
Good, because my calculus is rusty at best.
No calculus required. This is about the physics of identity. It's actually surprisingly intuitive once you see the variable.
Okay, well, before we get to the algebra of the soul, we have to look at what we've already built.
The scaffolding.
Right. The source material calls this the reflect interlude. What exactly is the traveler reflecting on here? Why stop and look back now?
They're reflecting on the scaffolding of the previous two parts. The traveler is standing there, having moved from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence.
Let's pause on that term, unconscious competence. That's usually the gold standard, isn't it?
It is for a lot of people.
It means you're good at something without even thinking about it, like driving a car to work and arriving without remembering the turns, or a pro athlete just knowing where the ball is going to be.
It is the gold standard for performance, yes. Alignment has become their baseline.
Right.
They don't have to force it anymore. It's just who they are. They aren't trying to be disciplined. They just are. But the text argues that while unconscious competence is great for living, it's terrible for scaling.
Why is it terrible for scaling?
Because if you don't know how you're doing it, you can't tweak it. You can't optimize it.
Oh, I see.
And you certainly can't teach to anyone else. You're trapped in your own excellence. You're just riding the wave, but you aren't controlling the ocean.
That makes a lot of sense. It's the difference between a naturally gifted singer and a vocal coach who understands actual anatomy.
Perfect analogy.
So to move past this, the text creates this recap of the 4DP system, which was the core tool of part 1.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering the 4DP is crucial because it's the main part of that ladder we keep talking about.
Let's do a quick refresh on that for you listening, because these terms are specific, and if you haven't memorized the source text, they might sound a bit abstract.
Yeah, let's break it down.
So 4DP stands for the 4 pillars that anchor your identity.
Right. So first, you have target. And we have to be clear, this isn't goals in the corporate KPI sense.
Right. It's not, I want to increase sales by Q3.
No, this is where are you actually aiming? Not where you should aim, but where your attention is physically going.
It's the difference between saying, I want to lose weight, and finding yourself staring at the donut shop every morning.
Exactly.
Your target is where your eyes go, not where your New Year's resolution says they go.
Precisely. It's about brutal honesty. Then the second P is truth.
Which sounds heavy. Are we talking like universal truth?
No, much simpler. Truth here refers to your operating system. What do you actually believe about your ability to get to that target?
Okay.
It's not about the truth with a capital T. It's about your truth.
So if my target is financial freedom,
but your truth is, I'm bad with money and rich people are evil, the system breaks. You're driving with the parking brake on.
Okay, got it. Target is where I'm going. Truth is the map I'm using.
Right.
Then we have totally, which I've always interpreted as just working hard, but the text suggests it's more nuanced than just grit.
It is. Totally is the commitment level, but it's binary. In this system, there is no 90% committed.
Wow, okay.
You are either totally in or you aren't. Are you burning the boats?
Yeah.
Or are you hedging your bets just in case? The system demands a lead.
Totally. It's terrifying, but I see why it's necessary. Partial commitment gets partial results.
Exactly. And finally, the fourth P is title.
The title is the identity story you're living, right?
Yes. Who is the character in this movie? When you wake up, what name do you give yourself?
Is your title the victim? Is it the one who struggles? Or is it the architect?
I love that. You can't act like a hero if your internal script says you're the sidekick.
Exactly. And the big insight from part one was that these four have to be coherent. You can't have a target of CEO if your title is the imposter and your truth is, I'm not smart enough.
That internal friction destroys you.
So the traveler has spent months, maybe years, aligning these. They've also mastered what the text calls the position of one.
Yes, position of one.
Can we define that? Because position of one sounds a bit like a yoga pose to me.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually the physics of social energy.
How so?
Well, most people live in a responsive state. The text calls this being a responsive variable.
What does that look like in real life?
Think about walking into a party or a high-stakes meeting. If you're a responsive variable, you scan the room immediately.
Like, is the boss happy? Is the vibe tense? Or are people laughing?
Right. And then subconsciously, you twist yourself to fit that vibe. You become a mirror.
You're a thermometer. You just read the temperature and adjust. That's the people pleaser's baseline.
Exactly. Position of one is the shift to becoming an autonomous variable. You stop being the thermometer and you become the thermostat.
You set the temperature.
You set the temperature. You anchor the room. You bring the weather. You don't just react to the rain.
That is such a powerful shift. So imagine our traveler. They have these tools. They aren't reactive anymore. They're grounded.
And they understand that growth isn't a straight line up and to the right.
Right. They know it's a spiral.
Yes, the spiral concept is key here. They know they'll revisit the same patterns, fear, control, insecurity, but at higher levels of skill.
They aren't surprised by their own demons anymore?
No, because they've developed the recursive self, which is the ability to watch themselves watching themselves. It's high-level metacognition.
It sounds exhausting, honestly, being that aware all the time. Like, I am watching myself feel angry about the traffic.
It is powerful, but yeah, it takes a massive amount of energy.
But here is the key insight from the reflect section and why we spend so much time recapping this. You don't just learn this architecture.
You become it.
You become it. This previous work created a bone-deep reality. It's somatic. It's in the body.
So the scaffolding is now internal. The ladder is inside you.
Yes. And that brings us to the plateau.
Right. The source describes this scene where the traveler is standing at a window on a Tuesday night.
I really love that detail. It's a Tuesday. It's not a mountaintop in Tibet. It's just a regular Tuesday.
It's completely mundane. And that's where the crisis happens.
They feel the alignment. They trust their body. They have unconscious competence. But a new question crystallizes in their mind.
What if transformation had a formal language?
Exactly. The traveler realizes the limitation of feeling.
You can sense alignment, sure. You can ride the wave when it comes.
But can you engineer it? Can you replicate it on demand? Or are you just waiting for the weather to be right?
This is the shift to the interface interlude. And the source uses an analogy here that I think perfectly captures this modern dilemma.
The 3D printer analogy.
It's brilliant. The source says, look, the body is the 3D printer.
Okay.
It's the hardware that makes things real. It takes the raw material and builds the life.
And the mind is the software. It runs the operation.
But the traveler realizes something is missing. We have the printer, we have the software, but we need the code.
We need the blueprint file.
Because without the code, the printer just sits there. Or worse, It prints random noise because of a glitch.
Exactly. The traveler wants to stop being just a user of their own mind.
Clicking icons that their parents or society put on the desktop.
Right, and become the administrator.
That's a pivotal shift.
Yeah.
User versus administrator.
A user can navigate the system, maybe change up the wallpaper, but an administrator, they can change the settings. They can rewrite the rules.
They can access the root directory. It's a desire for algebra for the soul or code for consciousness.
And it's important to note, the source explicitly says this isn't about ego.
Right. It's not about controlling the universe in some tyrannical I am God way.
It's about partnering with the universe with precision. It's about responsibility.
It's moving from intuition to engineering, which brings us to the most controversial part of this transition, part 3.
Metamatics. The math of meta.
Yeah.
Now, I have to be honest with you. When I first read Math of Meta, I got a little nervous.
I think a lot of people do.
Right, because I think a lot of people get into the self-help space specifically because they don't like math. They like feelings. They like stories.
Math trauma is a very real thing.
It really is.
But the source is very clear about that anxiety. It's not a math class. It's not numbers for the sake of complexity.
You aren't going to be tested on integrals.
Exactly. It's about relationships and structure.
Okay, so let's break this down. How do we turn feelings, which are messy and fluid, into math, which is rigid and logical?
Well, let's look at one of the equations the source text provides as a teaser. It's a formula for success. It goes like this. Success equals skills multiplied by visibility, all divided by imposter syndrome.
Okay, let me visualize that. Success equals skills times visibility, divided by imposter syndrome.
Right. Think about the relationships there. First, look at the numerator, the top part. Skills and visibility are multiplied.
Meaning they are dependent on each other.
Exactly. In multiplication, if either number is 0, the total is 0.
Right.
You can have infinite skills. You're the best writer or coder in the world. But if you have 0 visibility, if you lock your work in a drawer, the result is 0 success.
And conversely, if you have massive visibility, like you go viral on TikTok, but you have 0 skills.
Eventually, the result collapses to 0. Sustainable success is 0.
Precisely. You need both. That's a structural truth.
But the real insight, the aha moment for me is the denominator.
The imposter syndrome part.
It acts as a constraint. It divides.
Okay, let's run the numbers on that.
Let's say your skills are a 10 and your visibility is a 10. You are crushing it.
So you have 100 on top.
But your imposter syndrome is high. Let's say it's a 50.
Then your output, 100 divided by 50, is only 2.
Right. You are working at a level of 100, but your output is 2.
That is incredibly frustrating.
It is. Now, what if you work on your internal state? You don't learn any new skills. You don't post any new content. You just stop grinding for a second.
Okay.
You just reduce your imposter syndrome from a 50 down to a 2.
Then 100 divided by 2, your output jumps to 50.
You increased your success by 25 times. Did you work harder? No. Did you learn a new trade? No. You just fixed the denominator.
Wow. Okay, that actually puts it into perspective immediately.
It does, doesn't it?
It stops being this vague feeling of, I need to believe in myself, and becomes a structural optimization problem. Oh, my denominator's too high.
Exactly. That's the so what here. Why do we need math for feelings?
Because feelings fluctuate.
Yes. One day you feel confident, the next you don't.
Yeah.
But the equation remains stable.
It provides a stable architecture for growth.
It takes the woo-woo out of spiritual growth and makes it engineering.
So instead of trying to manifest success, you look at the equation and say, I need to increase the visibility variable, or I need to decrease the imposter syndrome variable.
It creates actionable levers.
That's fascinating.
And part 3 of the text promises to give us the variables, the operators, and the brackets to do exactly that for every part of life. Happiness, purpose, connection.
It transforms abstract wisdom into a template. Fill in your variables, run the equations, get results.
It really is like finding the source code.
Which leads us to the big moment in the source text. Section 4, the discovery.
The interface interlude. This is the pivotal scene.
Again, I want to emphasize the setting for this. It is so normal. It's a coffee shop. Chapter A. The traveler is just making coffee or sitting at a table.
There's no burning bush.
None.
I think that's intentional. Realization doesn't usually happen when a choir of angels sings or when you're at the retreat.
Right. It happens when you stop trying to force the answer.
The source says the traveler stops trying to think it through. They've been obsessing over this formal language for weeks, trying to jam the square peg in the round hole.
And then they just stop, they wait, and then it clicks automatically in the body.
And they get this formula.
AB over CD.
AB divided by CD. It sounds so simple, 4 letters. But the text treats this like finding the Rosetta Stone.
Because for the traveler, it is. It's the realization that transformation isn't random chaos. It follows a specific, repeatable formula.
It implies a relationship between 4 distinct elements.
But here's the cliffhanger, and the source text is very specific about this. We only get the definition for A right now.
That's right. The text cuts off right after defining A. It's a total tease.
So let's talk about A. What is it?
A equals the raw material.
Yeah.
The potential.
The potential.
Think of it as the unformed energy. It's the skill, the dream, the energy, the desire waiting to be shaped.
It's the clay before it becomes the pot.
Exactly. It's the electricity before it hits the light bulb.
So everyone has A.
Yes. A is abundant. Everyone has potential. Everyone has raw material.
We are grounding in A.
But without the rest of the formula, without B, C, and DA is just inert. It's potential energy, not kinetic energy.
And we don't know what B, C, or D are yet.
Not yet. That's the hook into the deeper chapters of Part 3.
But the important thing isn't the definition of the other variables just yet. It's the feeling of the discovery.
Right. The traveler realizes that everything they've been doing, the 4DP, the body work, the sensing of the force in, it all fits into this structure.
They realize they can finally stop just surfing the waves and start understanding hydrodynamics.
That distinction really stuck with me. Surfing versus hydrodynamics.
One is skill in the moment. The other is mastery of the physics behind it.
And that's really the journey of this entire deep dive. We started with the latter, parts 1 and 2, which was the embodied practice.
You have to learn to surf first.
You have to feel the water. You
Yeah.
can't just study the physics on a blackboard and expect to stay upright on a board.
Right. If you skip the scaffolding, the math is just math. It's dry.
Exactly. If you just memorize the formula AB over CD without the years of sweating on the ladder, it would just be trivia.
It wouldn't need anything.
The body, the meat suit, as the traveler used to call it, was never just a container, it was the creator.
It was the instrument that gathered the data so that the mind could eventually find the code.
It's like the body provided the data set, and now the mind is finally building the algorithm to explain it.
You couldn't route the code if you hadn't lived the data first.
Beautifully put. And that is why we don't kick the ladder away.
The ladder is the data.
Yes.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left standing at that threshold with the traveler. We've done the work. We've built the scaffolding.
We've felt the alignment.
We are standing on the roof. But now we are being offered something else. The keys to the machine.
It's an invitation to move from unconscious competence, where you're good, but you don't know how you're good, to conscious engineering.
To become the architect of your own reality. And that brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. You have the feelings. You have the intuition.
You've probably read the self-help books and done the meditations.
But do you have the code? Are you just living in the house, rearranging the furniture? Or are you ready to look at the blueprints and maybe move some walls?
AB over CD.
The raw material is there. A is sitting in your lap. But what happens next? Well, I guess we'll have to wait for the next deep dive to plug in the rest of those variables.
It's going to be a fascinating calculation. I can't wait to see what B turns out to be.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Keep climbing that ladder, but don't kick it away. You're going to need it to reach the blackboard.
See you next time.